Peace and welcome back, family. I'm Alan Bay, and this is Awaken Your Light, where we decode the ancient science of Vedic astrology so you can understand your divine blueprint and walk in clarity, strength, and truth. In this series, we've been exploring the benefic planets, the cosmic teachers that bring grace, wisdom, expansion, and harmony into our lives. We've already journeyed through the sun, which is the soul, the moon, the emotional mind, Mercury, the intellectual mind, and Jupiter, the guru of the gods and devas, who brings us wisdom and expansion. Tonight, we conclude the benefic planets with one of the most misunderstood yet powerful grahas of them all, Venus, known in Vedic astrology as Shukra. Venus is not just romance. Venus is not just beauty. Venus is not just pleasure. Venus represents divine refinement, sacred attraction, devotion, artistry, relationships, luxury, healing, and the ability to experience joy without losing your soul. But before we continue, I want to remind you of something very important. These interpretations are general foundations, not absolute truths. Every birth chart is unique, like a cosmic Rubik's Cube. Unique combinations, angles, and layers, all interacting at once. Your ascendant, house lords, aspects, nakshatras, yogas, dashas, doshas, and transits, they all matter. So if you're dealing with deep emotional, spiritual, or life challenges, I strongly encourage you to consult a qualified Vedic astrologer, spiritual practitioner, or holistic healer who can look at your chart in full. What we share here are foundational principles and interpretations, and not a personal diagnosis. Now, with that said, let's enter the sacred story of Venus. In Vedic mythology, Venus is known as Shukracharya, the guru of the Asuras, while Jupiter is the teacher of the Devas. Venus, or Shukra, is the master of worldly wisdom, pleasure, desire, relationships, and the arts of living well. But don't mistake this as shallow. Shukra possessed a powerful secret, the Mrita Sanjivani mantra, the knowledge of reviving the dead. This made him one of the most powerful spiritual teachers in the cosmos. But this tells us something deep. Venus is not just enjoyment. Venus is about resurrection through love, healing through beauty, and transformation through devotion. Venus teaches us how to live in the material world without becoming enslaved by it. So now we're going to walk Venus through the 12 houses. We're going to go to the light and the shadow aspects. But in the first house of self, and body, and identity, Venus makes you charismatic, attractive, and charming with artistic presence and natural grace. But an imbalance can cause vanity or people pleasing and identity tied to appearance. Now, in the second house of wealth and speech and values, Venus gives you sweet speech, refined taste, financial ease, and the love of music and poetry. But the imbalance could cause overindulgence or luxury addiction. and financial dependency. Now, in the third house of communication and courage, Venus gives you artistic communication and writing. It gives you a melodious voice for singing and creative confidence. But an imbalance would be flirtatious manipulation or inconsistency and superficial connections. Venus in the fourth house of home, mother, and emotions. You'll have a beautiful home, emotional harmony, love of comfort, but an imbalance would be emotional dependency, laziness, or escapism through pleasure. Venus in the fifth house of creativity, romance, and children. Venus gives you romance, artistic talent, charm, the love of beauty and joy. But imbalance would be drama, love addiction, or using affection for validation. Now, Venus in the sixth house of health and enemies and service. You can heal through art, or give service through beauty, and a refined work ethic. But with the imbalance, you can have toxic relationships or suffer indulgence, harming the health, and people pleasing. Venus in the seventh house of relationships and marriage. You'll have deep love, romantic partnerships, devotion, and charm. But the shadow could be codependency, superficial bonds, or a fear of being alone. Now, in the eighth house of transformation and secrets, Venus gives you magnetic allure, tantric wisdom, and emotional depth. But the imbalance would be obsession, manipulation, and pleasure addiction. In the ninth house of higher wisdom and dharma, you'll have devotion through beauty, the love of philosophy, and artistic spirituality. But the shadow would be spiritual materialism or using beliefs for validation. Now, in the 10th house of career and reputation, Venus gives you success in arts, fashion, design, and diplomacy. Venus can make you passionate about your work or career, but the imbalance could be image obsession or fame addiction and moral compromise. Now, in the 11th house of gains and community, you'll have supportive friendships, artistic networks, and abundance. But the shadow would be fake alliances and transactional relationships. Now, in the 12th house of moksha and isolation, Venus gives you divine love, artistic solitude, spiritual pleasure. The shadow could be escapism, fantasy addiction, or emotional avoidance. And here are some simple remedies for Venus. Now, these are general and gentle remedies and not substitutes for personalized guidance. Some situations or doshas may require, the tantric route or other forms of remedies. But simple remedies, you could practice gratitude for beauty in all forms. Or you can wear clean, elegant clothing on Fridays. You can offer white flowers or sweets. You can chant Om Shukra Namaha. Or you can engage in art, music, or creative expression. You can avoid toxic pleasure patterns, or you can cultivate healthy boundaries in love. And in closing, Venus teaches us that love is not weakness, beauty is not vanity, pleasure is not sin. When Venus is balanced, love becomes sacred, art becomes healing, and relationships becomes mirrors of growth. But when Venus is wounded, we chase pleasure to fill spiritual emptiness. And that's the lesson of Shukra. As we conclude the benefic planets, remember, the cosmos is not trying to punish you. It is trying to teach you. And within you is a light that never fades. Until next time, family, keep awakening your light. I'm Alan Bay. Peace and love.